What is up, my intergalactic friends, and welcome back here to another intergalactic content. So today we're going to talk about PvP, because it was brought to me that there was alliances, which I'm not going to name because there are various alliances within the cosmic ocean galaxies or cosmic ocean nebulas that are actually using this type of strategy that is using a tier 1 unit. Okay, so how does this thing work? So basically, players still have their old tier 1 units. Personally, I didn't think about this way, but I have thought about something in similar fashion. But the tier 1 units are very cheap to make. So if you look into tier 1 in here, you can see they are easy to make and cheap to build. So players, what they have been doing is they are using a tier 1 unit with their main flagships. So basically, let's say I'm just going to be using my weakest flagships in here just to get the flagships out, basically. So when you're running with tier 1 units, it doesn't matter, right? You can bring all of it into battle because it's not really going to cost that much on repair and as well as on the, speed of the time of the repair. But another thing that you can do is just by doing the bare minimum to bring out your flagship. All right, so let's say hypothetically I do have the tier 1s in here. I'll just bring it to the minimum in here and bring it out and start getting into battle by joining rallies or defending structures. So that's one way that you can do it with the tier 1 unit. And really, the bad thing about this is that players who are in the cosmic ocean, if you go against a tier 1 unit, what happens with that? If we look into the God of War here, how can you get points, right? So if you're using tier 1 units, you're basically not getting any points. You start getting points for level 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, let's say you are a tier, a high tier, bring it out in the battlefield. Now, I don't know if this is the case, really, if they're going to get points, but I haven't really tried this. But if you are bringing out T1, you're killing a higher tier, then you're supposed to be getting points, and your flagship's doing a lot of the damages as well from that case. The problem in the Infinite Galaxy battle mechanics is that flagships is very strong. So, for example, if players are just going to be defending a structure or launching a rally, and then they're just going to be doing a bunch of T1 in there, that is going to be very hurtful for players that are bringing in T10, because the loss of ratio there is going to be huge. Especially if the opponent or the players who are bringing the tier 1 have really good flagships, and that's going to make a lot of damage. So what are some of the ways that IG can change it? And if they do change this, it is going to change the dynamic of the game, because the flagship has to be kind of rewritten on how the function is within the game. Or they simply do not grant anyone who is bringing in lower tier flagships, any points if they are killing higher tier. But at the same case, maybe some players won't care about this and they just want to inflict damage towards the opponent, then they'll still be using tier 1. There is no way that they can stop players from using tier 1 units, but they need to make the changes within the game mechanics of this game. I don't really know what is the right way or the perfect way to do this. I'm just bringing it up to the community that there is something in here that is, I don't want to say it's exploiting or exploited, because it is part of the game mechanics. I don't really know what the right terminology for this is, but it is something that I have brought up in a concern before as well. I've urged, that there is this, kind of a loophole. Basically, when players are not really getting damaged with making players get a lot of repairs, basically. So there's like for whales, there's really not a whole lot of point. Why am I going to go into battle if I'm not going to inflict somebody a lot of damage and get them into repair? So basically immobilizing an account. So this thing that I mentioned before, so if they do make a change in here within the game, what can we expect? So hypothetically, they change. Okay, now flagships are not going to deal as much damage, or basically flagships are not going to attack. Only the skills of the flagships will take effect. Then stacking is going to change, right? The stacking formation is going to change. Could it be a swarming instead of stacking? Or what is it going to happen? What about the flagships, right? The flagships, the captain. The captains bring a lot of power to the flagship damage. The gear also have some, damage as well. So that's going to have to take effect and change. Besides that, it's buffing the warships. And then there are certain flagships like Athena that will have to be revamped if that is the case that they are going to go for. Because if we look into Athena, which is right, I don't know where my Athena went. My Athena is right here. If we look into Athena, which is horrible settings in here, I will fix that eventually. Athena, brings in flagship attack damage in here. And also another concept that we can think about is the Lara. Lara brings in huge flagship attack in here with 238% flagship attack. So basically what I'm saying here, the battle mechanics is a little bit skewed toward the flagship. I don't really know what is the best approach for IG to really fix this. This is going to be putting up some work for them because, it sucks when you're going into a big battle, a big fight, and then players are just going to be using like lower tier units to fight against you. Or let's say you are going to be launching rallies and there's a bunch of flagships in there, and if you can't match with the number of players going against in that matchup, then it's going to be very difficult matchup in there. What I've kind of suggested is launching a rally, for example, or leading a garrison or captaining the garrison, basically taking the lead of the rally leader's buff only. And the rally leader's flagship probably is going to be the only one attacking or something like that. And then the rest of the flagships are going to be not attacking, but only one set of flagship going to attack, and then the rest of the warship is going to be taking the buff of the captain. Similar fashion for defending a garrison or defending an outpost. So that's the concept that I'm thinking, but I don't know if that's the right way, but that's something I kind of made a suggestion to the developers. But I don't really know the perfect scenario for this, but I do think that it needs to be changed because the flagship does inflict a lot of damage within the game and kind of unfair for players within the game as well. The whole point of this is that how can we inflict a lot more damages towards the opponent to where we can immobilize them? It's because if we can't inflict a lot of damage to them, because let's say if everybody's just going to play T1, that's just boring. Why, what's the point of, moving forward and getting T10 or T11? So this is something that they really need to fix. So if you guys have any comments or concern that you guys want to give in, maybe I said something incorrectly in here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just learned about this information as well today. So let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. By the way, I'm back to my setup, but I'll be traveling again in December. Anyway, my intergalactic friends, we love the game. We want the game to grow. We want the developers to improve the game. So let's give our honest opinions, and we need to be cohesive. And I love the game. The game is nice, and it's just there's a few things that has to be fixed. Anyway, my intergalactic friends, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again next time.